What's doing, everybody? Today is Thursday, September 11th, the 24th anniversary of the darkest day in American history, which has now been followed by the darkest day in over a decade. I'm AlecLace. This is the AlecLace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome everybody to the AlecLace Show. Thank you for joining the podcast here today. This is a devastating moment in our country. Charlie Kirk brutally and horrifically assassinated yesterday in Utah. So very hard to watch the videos that were floating around on online, especially on Twitter, which is where I saw it. When I first saw that video, I thought 100% it was AI. I'm like, there's no way this could be real. The way he is shot and the blood gushes right out of his throat. It is horrific, and the fact that his family will now see that video for the rest of their lives, or it will be out there forever, is just horrifying to think about. And it would, there was just virtually zero chance he could have survived that. I mean, that was an absolute hit right to the throat. It looks like it snapped his spine. He goes almost paralyzed immediately. And it was just so vicious to watch that could happen. And obviously, Charlie Kirk. The President Donald Trump is the one that actually broke the news to confirm the fact that Charlie Kirk had died, called him a legendary guy. Obviously, President Trump and Charlie Kirk very, very close together. He ordered the flags at half-staff. Today, President Donald Trump announced that he will be posthumously awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom, saying that Charlie was a giant in his generation, a champion of liberty, an inspiration to millions and millions of people. We miss him greatly. I have no doubt Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. And that is true. I mean, listen, Charlie Kirk is the biggest name in this game. I mean, we all do these podcasts, we all do these, a lot of activists on the right that try to get a name for themselves. Nobody did it better than Charlie Kirk. Nobody had more of a connection with the youth in this country, who had the pulse of the youth in this country better than Charlie Kirk did. There's no question. You can never take that away from him. The movement that he created was enormous. I mean, the amount of people he employed just from Turning Point USA was astonishing. And if you've ever been to one of those events, you know how great they were put on, well organized. I've done a ton of them. I met Charlie Kirk in Detroit at one of the events last year where I invited him on the AlecLace Show, and since he didn't have time to do it right there at the booth, so he said, we'll do it immediately once this is all over, we'll get it in, and I think it was the following day after the event ended, and I flew back to Jersey, we did the interview, so he held up to that, and it was, obviously an honor to have him on the show, and just so sad for so many people, that love this guy, and particularly, obviously, his wife and children who now have to move on somehow without him. And it's just, there's not enough words to say how horrific this is. Now, obviously, you got a lot of stuff going on online from the left that was, you thought you would see a couple of reactions from the left, but the amount is mind-blowing what you're seeing from the left, especially from the screen. I'm not on Blue Sky. I know that's like the left-wing Twitter, but the screen recordings that people are scrolling through, it is unbelievable. It makes you think there's no way we can heal as a country. And this today, being 9/11, in the most horrific day we've ever seen in this country, where you had 3,000 people murdered. The only thing you pulled out of that really was the September 12th feeling that we had in this country of everybody was together. Politics all went out the window. Everyone was like, we are united as Americans. I remember that feeling. I mean, I was only 20 years old at the time that 9/11 happened. And I remember that feeling. So many people joined the military because of that. I know a lot of them. We do the Navy SEAL swim across the Hudson River every year, and there's a lot of Navy SEALs that are there, a lot of other military people, and many of them signed up because of 9/11 to serve this country. And the energy in this country was we were one nation, one country, and man, we need that right now more than ever. Because we got to heal as a country right now, or we are going to just absolutely crumble into a civil war. I mean, it is. I mean, we have never been closer than we have right now since the Civil War ended to being in one. And, you have people that are saying it online, like, I seen it, people from the left, let's do the Civil War. Like, no, you don't want to see that. I mean, people are crazy for even suggesting that is the way to go, because I don't even think they realize what they're saying. And it's easy to put that all on Twitter and on Blue Sky or whatever, but I don't think they realize the viciousness of what that means. And it's, damn, I mean, you just wish that we could have some kind of faith come back into this, and patriotism come back into this country. Man, we are in a very, very bad place. There's no other way to put it. Now, obviously, we don't know who the shooter is. We got the word from the FBI that it's a college-age person that they're looking for. Steven Crowder put out a notice that he got from the ATF, and it was pretty much confirmed by what the FBI was saying just this morning, saying that they found the weapon in a wooded area. They're checking it for forensics. They're saying it was they believe it was a college-age student, or I should say college-age person. I don't know necessarily a student of that school, but it's a college-age person is what they're saying. According to Steven Crowder's email that he got from the ATF, there were words written on the shell casings that they found, linking it to transgender stuff or to anti-fascist stuff. I don't know if that is confirmed. That is what's been out there. A lot of people online saying this was a professional hit. They're so sure it was a professional hit. And I'm just saying right now, just from when Trump's assassination attempt in Butler went down, which we still don't have the answers to, and it's very frustrating. The fact that we have Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and the FBI is now supposed to be on our side, and we still don't have a full-blown report about what the hell happened in Butler is very frustrating. And a lot of people saying that, but during the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, I was speaking with many different military guys, a lot of the Navy SEALs that I know, a few, not a lot, but a few of the Navy SEALs that I know, snipers, to get an idea of how difficult this shot was. And every one of them, now we have figured the Trump shot was about 150 yards away. They're saying this one 200 yards away, 150 to 200 yards away. Every one of them that I talked to about this said this shot is a simple shot. It's not a difficult shot to make. It's not something that you would need to be in the military to learn how to do. I remember even Rob O'Neill saying, I could teach you how to make that shot in 7 minutes, and that includes the drive to the range, saying it's one of the most basic shots you can make with the long gun from that distance. So the fact that the guy hit him, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that this was somebody that had high special forces training. The fact that he was able to exfil out of there and get out, I think that's planning that took place. I think that he took advantage of the soft target that was there. A lot of people that were there at the event saying no metal detectors were there. According to the reports, there was 6 police officers assigned to this, along with Charlie Kirk's security team. And that's nowhere near enough to protect what is a high value target to the left. There's no question about that. And so you shoot Charlie Kirk, and it looked like every member of his team went immediately to his aid. It looked like everybody on his team went right to his aid. They carried him into the truck to take him away, rightfully so, trying to save his life. But in doing that, it didn't look like there was anybody looking for the shooter. All of his team focused immediately on Charlie's safety, and no one looking for the shooter. And then you had 2 guys. The first guy, the bald-headed old guy, they said, this is the shooter. Everyone was kind of like, that's the guy that did it? It seemed very bizarre. But apparently he was saying that he did do it, but he didn't have a weapon, and it looked like it was a decoy. So it seems like it could be more coordinated. But you got to remember, you got a lot of crazy people out there, too. So I don't know what the hell is going on. And it doesn't seem like the FBI does either. But it does seem like the guy was able to take advantage of the chaos, the lack of security that was present, and got away. They found the weapon. They're going to break that down. Hopefully, they will be able to get to this guy as fast as possible. to nail him to the wall. But it's just, that you get so much reaction online. Nobody really could it have been a professional hit? Yes, of course. I'm not saying it couldn't have been. It doesn't seem like it's likely. It seems like it was probably somebody that was, you got a lot of these raging lunatics out there, and it's it would not be surprising if it was just somebody in the LGBTQ community, transgender, that anybody on the left. I mean, they're all anybody's a suspect, and of course, it just seems like Charlie Kirk. What this guy created is unlike anything we've ever seen as far as the youth movement in the country. I mean, the guy really, really got to the hearts of the young. I mean, he captured this whole generation of young kids, the college kids, more so than anybody. And they had to stop him. I was trying to think of this morning of a comparable Charlie Kirk on the left. Now, who is the comparable Charlie Kirk on the left? If you have one, put it in the chat. Because I've been trying to think about this, like, if they retaliate, because they were saying, there were going to be a retaliation, like, and trying to compare this to somebody who would be equal to a Charlie Kirk on the left, and I can't think of one. Everybody that I could think of would either be like a past president, like an Obama or something like that, or a Kamala Harris, a candidate, but nobody as far as a political activist on the left is even in the same sphere as Charlie Kirk was. So his voice was so important to the right. I mean, obviously, the potential to be president one day. He had a following like no other. He was very relatable to so many people. Young guy. He was young. He was healthy. He was faithful. He was wealthy. He had a beautiful family that he loved so much, that he talked about constantly, and it was great for the young people in this country to hear it, to hear the importance of God and faith and family and country. And that's really what he stood for. And it was so breathtaking to hear him and have him be on the scene. Boy, it is a tragic day, man, in this country. Now, I had planned really on focusing on the anniversary of September 11th today, 24 years ago that it went down. President Trump laying wreaths over at the Pentagon. He's going to be going to the Yankees baseball game tonight in New York City. And I wanted to focus on so much of the 9/11, but obviously this has just blown everything away today. I mean, it is just, every podcast is focusing on it. Everybody is crushed by seeing what happened. We all worry about this. Listen, I'm a small fry in the podcasting game here. I get the threats all the time. You try to just take it as a left-wing lunatic that's going unhinged. But you especially on moments where I go viral, like when they faked that story about me that I called for political violence and it went viral. And even though Snopes came out with the rebuttal saying, fact-checking it, saying, no, that's not true, it did not stop these people from coming at me. And it was scary stuff. I mean, it really is. When people are threatening your life, you try to say, oh, this guy's he's full of shit. It's just some left-wing lunatic. But all it takes is one maniac. It just takes one lunatic out there. And when you have the media combined with the Democrats that have been telling these people for years that Charlie Kirk is the devil, Charlie Kirk is Hitler, Charlie Kirk is a Nazi, they're telling you everybody that supports Trump is a Nazi. When you're filling up these people's minds with that and they believe it, there's nothing you could do to pull them out of it. We saw it with COVID. Once these people were processed in a way that they believed that the mask was going to help them, that the shot was going to help them, you couldn't talk them out of it. They were unhinged. You could not have a conversation about it. They were already fooled into believing the truth about the COVID stuff. So they never came out of it. And it's the same thing when you fool these people into thinking that Kirk is a Nazi, despite the fact that he's like the biggest supporter of Israel, right? They call him a Nazi. Once you fool these people into believing that, you can't undo it. So you had these people. You had the one guy yesterday that they were interviewing at a Charlie Kirk vigil saying that. He was glad that he died. He would have done it himself, he said. He said, would you kill a Nazi? And it's like, that's the logic that they have. Their logic is that, listen, this guy is a Nazi. We have to stop him to save the democracy. I mean, that's what they have filled these people's minds up with. And it's a dangerous time we have right now. And everybody feels it. Everybody in this business feels it. Everybody that's in the political game can feel it. The tension is too high. It feels like it feels like the entire temperature of the country is hanging on by a piece of dental floss right now, and it seems like it could just go at any second. So let me do this and get some of this stuff. I wanted to get some reaction. I had interviews scheduled today with Congressman Brandon Gill and Alex Marlow. I'm grateful, Congressman Gill coming on today. I know this has turned everybody's schedules upside down. This has turned everybody's personal life and feelings upside down. It is a day of mourning. We're seeing a lot of reaction. I know South Park now has removed the episode that they did with Charlie Kirk. That was a report that I had seen this morning. South Park removed the episode mocking Charlie Kirk and Magna influencers from cable in respect for Charlie Kirk. I don't know if that's necessarily something Charlie Kirk would have wanted to see. If that is true, I think Charlie Kirk kind of leaned into the humor against him, and I think that was a part of what they hated about it, that Charlie wasn't hurt by it. He changed his bio to the character that they made of him on South Park. So we are seeing reaction to this whole thing. It's affected everybody. And so let me get some of the reaction. We'll start with Congressman Brandon Gill. Obviously wanted to talk to him about so many other things today, but we're going to focus on the Charlie Kirk, get kind of the pulse down there in D.C., and get his take on what went down. So let's bring him on the show.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm at the White House with my dad, and you're watching the AlecLace Show.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, joining me now, Congressman Brandon Gill. Welcome to the AlecLace Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back. Obviously, listen, today's the 24-year anniversary of the darkest day in this country's history, and it's followed by, the darkest day in probably this decade. So I just want to get your initial reaction here on the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday.
Yeah, this is absolutely horrific on a personal level for the country, seeing, a leader in the conservative movement assassinated on TV. I mean, we saw the video as soon as it happened, and it was pretty clear immediately how horrific this was. On a personal level, this was a guy who was 31 years old, young guy, extraordinarily successful, but more importantly, a husband and a father. He's the same age as I am. He's got two young kids who are roughly the same ages as mine are. And just a phenomenal individual, somebody who was hardworking, who loved this country, who loved his God, and wanted to see more people come to Christ. And I think that's ultimately what motivated Charlie more than anything else, but also wanted to see this country turn to Christ, and wanted to see our country get back on the right path. And he lived his principles in a way that very few people do. Just really horrific, but also infuriating as well.
Yeah, I think that's the emotions. It's the sadness and the anger, I think, that are coming into it. But just like you said, I mean, this Charlie Kirk he was the biggest name in this movement behind Trump. I mean, the Turning Point USA movement was just on par with the MAGA movement, like just huge. I've been to so many of these events. The energy is off the charts. I mean, he really connected well with the youth in this country. And it's just, it's amazing to me. I mean, obviously you have a lot of super sleuths on the internet now trying to figure out the details, who did it. I mean, we will get to all that, but it's just the humanity part of it right up front. I mean, his wife, his children, and his movement has been shattered forever now. And it just seems like the political violence is getting so bad in this country. And does it make, you just said you're the same age, you're in this political field. How are you guys feeling about this stuff right now? Are you guys oh, gee, we all got to kind of beef up our security, stuff like that?
Right now, we're just, the goal right now, and I think that's what Charlie would want us to do, is to continue fighting, and to not back down a bit. The point of a political assassination like this is to silence dissent. I mean, the point of slaughtering Charlie Kirk on a college campus where he's debating people that disagree with him. And remember, Charlie comes in good faith and is debating on the merits of ideas. And somebody comes in there, some deranged leftist, obviously, and assassinates him. The whole point is to silence him. So our response needs to be civil and respectful, but not back down an inch. We cannot let left-wing violence, silence conservatives, or we allow them to win. So that's something that we've got to keep in mind. But remember, this is going to be a wife who now is widowed. It's going to be two kids who grow up without a father. I mean, this is just despicable. And some of the responses you see from leftists who are celebrating his death are really, really disgusting, and show you that our country seems to be going on a pretty dark path, and we need to turn this around quickly.
And that was going to be my next thing. It was, obviously, I was going to ask if you've seen the reaction, but it's hard not to see the reaction. It was kind of like I remember saying as soon as seeing the whole thing go down that there was going to be celebration on the left, but I never expected it to be in the quantity of celebration that was going on. I mean, it is just post after post of celebration, and the likes. Like some of these posts got 200,000 likes on them, and they're ones that are celebrating, and it's. Again, today's September 11th. One of the things that you pull out of that is the following day was September 12th, when it seemed like in this country we were united as one, and it seemed like we were all together, man. Like the energy was, we are Americans first, and we need to get back to that. And it feels like this is a moment where either we're going to heal now as a country, or we're going to completely crumble. And it seems like we're going to escalate towards the point of no return.
It does feel like that. I hope that we can all agree, regardless of what side of the aisle we're on, that political violence is always wrong, regardless of who it's against. But there has been, I think, an uptick in not only violent rhetoric from the other side of the aisle, but also violent acts. I mean, we saw a healthcare CEO recently get murdered, assassinated in New York. You saw two Israeli embassy officials get murdered here in Washington, D.C. You saw a deranged leftist tried to murder President Trump while he was doing one of his huge rallies. And then, of course, they just assassinated Charlie Kirk. I mean, this is a serious problem with the left that they need to address, just if not more seriously than anybody else. But remember, they went after Charlie Kirk because he was effective. That's why he was a target. It's because he built up a political movement that we haven't seen in decades. If you think of college campuses, for a long time, I think it's fair to say that the conservative side of the political debate wasn't really the cool side, so to speak. It was, we were in the minority on college campuses. We were the ones who were probably more studious, more thoughtful, but less, in many ways, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but less appealing to a college student. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point completely shifted that paradigm. He made it cool to be a conservative. He made it cool to go to Turning Point rallies and listen to conservative speakers and listen to Christian speakers. And he built this massive movement that kind of made conservatism the resistance in the face of a left that had really taken over all of our institutions, most of our civil society. And that's why he was so effective. That's why you have thousands and thousands and thousands of students who come out of colleges now, having gone through Turning Point, having been in leadership, having brought on conservative speakers to their campuses. I mean, if you look at even on the Hill right now, there are staffers across probably just about every single Republican office who went through Turning Point whenever they were in college, including my own office. I mean, the amount of influence that movement has created because of Charlie Kirk is extraordinary. I mean, it's a huge testament to how successful he was, and that's why they went after him.
We will see the fruits of Charlie Kirk's labor for years to come in the political movement. There's no question about that. Like you said, the interns are loaded with the people that have gone through Turning Point. Also, too, I mean, Charlie Kirk himself had a very bright future in front of him. I mean, he's only 31 years old. This is a guy, many people said, another 10, 15 years, this guy would easily be able to run for president or run for office because of how dynamic he was. And you're right. I don't think the left had an answer for Charlie Kirk. They didn't have anything comparable to Charlie Kirk. And I think instead of trying to beat Charlie Kirk, they eliminated Charlie Kirk. They took his voice out because they really didn't have an answer for him.
That's exactly right. I mean, remember that for a democratic republic to function, you have to be able to speak ideas openly. You have to be able to engage with people who disagree with you on the merits, not in terms of use of force or violence. And that's what Charlie was so good at. He did things so well. He went into the lion's den routinely when he knew he was surrounded by people who viciously disagreed with him, and he debated them in good faith on the merits of ideas. And he was successful. He was an extraordinarily gifted speaker and debater, extraordinarily articulate and well-read. And he not only was able to win in the sort of realm of ideas, but he was able to build up a political movement to actually mobilize all the people whose minds he was changing on a daily basis to have a pretty palpable and powerful political force. He did everything right, everything that we should be aspiring to in the conservative movement.
Well said, Congressman. And, he just recently posted. It's so crazy to see him posting the morning of him being assassinated, too. But he had been posting recently in the days leading up to this about the Irania Zarutska, that brutal video that was released really the day before he was assassinated. It's almost like we're getting so immune to this because we're watching a girl, 23 years old, her throat sliced. And then we're seeing Charlie Kirk just totally, just annihilated on TV. And it's like, we're getting so immune to these images and stuff, and it's doing something to this country. It's like these are dark images that we're seeing of just violence that's unspeakable, and it's like back to back. We were just not getting over, just discussing the fact of that young girl getting her throat slit. Charlie, obviously, it deeply affected him. He posted, "America will never be the same," and then he gets violently assassinated. So man, having those two back to back like that, it's really, really affecting the country deeply.
Oh, yeah, you are. And, something Charlie used to talk a lot about is whenever you can't debate ideas, the next step is, whenever you silence dissent, the next step is violence, that there's people lash out. And that's sort of what we're seeing here is, I think, a political left who's doing everything they can to stifle free speech, even using force and violence against their opponents. I mean, it really is dark, and you cannot have a republic that is composed of democratically elected officials in an environment where people cannot speak openly and debate ideas openly without violence. I mean, that is the constitutional core of our republic. It's something he embodied so well, but it's something we've got to continue fighting for, especially as the left is coming after us like this.
What is the temperature right there now, Congressman? I know you guys had to try to have like a moment of silence yesterday. What is the feeling there? What is the energy right now?
Yeah, we had a moment of silence on yesterday on the House floor, and I can tell you on the Republican side, we were shocked. I mean, we got the news of his passing while we were on the floor. We were in a vote series at the time. So there was a bit of shock, a bit of disbelief, but also anger and fury about this, that they would have, that the political left, or that there would be people on the other side of the aisle willing to assassinate conservative leaders. But let me tell you something that was particularly, I think, sickening yesterday, which is that after we had a moment of silence, my friend Congresswoman Lauren Boebert asked that we have an audible prayer on the House floor, which I think is entirely appropriate given the circumstances. And you know what the response was from the other side of the aisle? It was Democrats standing up and shouting no, that they were not willing to have a prayer on the House floor for a member of our movement who was just assassinated. I mean, it was beyond disgusting, but shows you where the country is at right now. I mean, really pray for God's mercy for our country, because that was a dark time and a dark response from the other side of the aisle.
So sad, Congressman. And I would imagine, just like I said, if we could bring back that September 12th type of energy, that's an energy where it's like, yes, let's all come together, because none of us want this. We all want, we all have loved ones. We're all fathers and sons. And just to see that happen to anybody, despite the fact that it's a political figure, it's just heartbreaking. And Charlie Kirk, like you say, the biggest name that we got in the political movement as far as on this media activist side. I mean, there's nobody bigger and nobody to compare him to on the other side. It's just devastating. So, there's a few other, let me just before I get you out of here, just give me your take on where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, Congressman? I mean, what do you see happening here in the country? I mean, it's almost speechless, but I just want to get your take. Where do we move on? How do we move on?
Well, first we need justice for Charlie. We've got to figure out who it was who assassinated him. And I think we need to see swift justice here. We need, obviously, to see the shooter get the death penalty. I think that's just, it's righteous. And that is the first step we need to move forward. And this needs to be something that happens quickly. We don't need a 10-year trial with this lunatic on death row sitting on death row for years and years. We need swift justice here. But after that, we need to continue fighting as conservatives. We need to continue showing that we can win in ideas, and we're not going to be intimidated by left-wing violent lunatics like this guy. We are going to continue speaking out. We're going to win the debate on the merits, and we're going to keep our majority in the House. We're going to get a Republican elected president, and we're going to continue winning and turning our country around, just like continuing the movement that Charlie started. So we're gonna put the pedal to the floor. We're not backing down a bit.
Yeah, well said. I love that attitude, Congressman. So many other things I wanted to hit on. It's just this thing has upset the apple cart completely. I know it has for you guys down there, but keep up the good work. I'd love to have you back on down the line. Thanks for joining me today on the AlecLace Show.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, honored to have Congressman Brandon Gill on the podcast today. Really had so many other things. I mean, there's a lot of other things to get to, some good things to get to, some positive stuff. The country going in a great direction. All this other stuff. It just all kind of seems like right now it's just, boy, it seems so meaningless today. All of it. It just seems like it's so devastating. What has happened here. It makes it kind of hard to just get your mind back into it, get on the bike and start rolling again. I would imagine even, too, for those guys down there in D.C., it's like back to business here. Like, and it's very difficult to do that. But I appreciate Congressman Gill taking a few minutes to join me on the podcast here. And he's right about, the response on the left has been they should be ashamed of themselves. For what they are posting about this, and they will come to regret it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, down the line, when some sanity hits these people, they will regret it. Let me move along here. We got Alex Marlow on, the editor-in-chief at Breitbart. He obviously knew Charlie Kirk very well. So we're going to bring him on now and get his take. So many people posting tributes to Charlie Kirk on there, and it just shows you how much this guy was genuinely loved and the impact he had on so many people. And it's, man, this is a tough day. Let's bring on Alex Marlow and talk about it a little more.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Joining me now, Alex Marlow. Welcome back to the AlecLace Show.
Alec, always nice to talk to you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you back on as always. I had a lot of other things I wanted to hit you with today, but obviously yesterday, this really just blew everybody's mind. It's just a sad day in our country. So give me your initial take when you found out Charlie Kirk got assassinated.
Well, when I found out, I initially started to do the math that is real, because these things occur quite a bit, and sometimes the worst case scenario is not the real scenario. But I'm in touch with Charlie on a daily basis. I think people who follow me at all know that we're friends for a long time. I've known him since he was a teenager. I gave him his first opportunity in the conservative media space by publishing a post he wrote at Breitbart News when he was in high school, something I'm very proud of. And I've been a weekly guest on his podcast for a very long time. And I was trying to do the math. I was thinking, so he's at this event. It's in Utah. And I knew that there was some trepidation about the event and security, and there were actually concerns. And it was going to be a really big event. And he's taken a lot of heat lately over recent comments. Some of them were completely made up out of whole cloth and thin air, like the latest Van Jones attack on him on CNN that came out of nowhere. And it was, the math added up, unfortunately, that, oh no, this could be real. And then I was left like the rest of us, then waiting for the next hour, 15 minutes to see if could possibly a miracle have happened. And it didn't. It was truly devastating moment.
It was. And for all of the people that knew him and loved him, as you did, we knew how powerful he was really to this movement. I mean, nobody, I was trying to say, like, nobody matches him. Like, you can't think of a person on the left that's even in the same category or in the same sentence.
No, and that's why they attacked him. That's why they killed him, for that reason. I think that this is an important point to emphasize. It makes it all seem all the worse, but it's important to emphasize that A lot of people know Charlie from his podcasting and his radio show, or maybe they know of Turning Point, but Charlie was doing something even bigger than that. So first of all, he's dominating activism. He's dominating podcasting and message delivery, but he's also on all these platforms. He's got millions of followers. He's one of the most powerful voices on X, but he's also on Instagram. He's on TikTok. A lot of people who don't get political content might be getting Charlie more than anyone else, particularly if you're on the right. And he's reaching younger people because he does things like what he was doing yesterday, where he's going to where they are. He's meeting them on their playing field. He's not demanding that they show up to his feeds or his shows. Saying, I'm going to go take the message to you, which is deeply American. And it is a really amazing thing that he lived that life where he was all about free speech, dialogue, debate, Socratic method, all the stuff that a lot of us cherish, but then we don't walk the walk the same way Charlie did. And his footprint was international. He was, I was just looking at our international news coverage of Breitbart today, and there's reactions from all over the world. It's the Far East, it's Eastern Europe, it's Western Europe, it's South America. The people were aware of Charlie. And why is that? Because he would do the things that others were unwilling or too lazy to do. And he has had that gumption and wherewithal, which made him the target that he was.
Well said, Alex. And, you know, the thing, obviously, and I just had Congressman Brandon Gill on here, and I was talking to him about just some of the reaction from the left that we are seeing. And we kind of expected to see some people celebrating, but the amount of it is very alarming. And it shows kind of like where we're at in the country here.
It's very dark to see it, and I wish I could say that this is just what they always do. But there's a demonic forces at work in America. I think this is very clear. I think we saw it earlier this week on that train in the Charlotte train. I think we saw with the trans shooting the children while they prayed, and then people rushing to microphones and cameras to tell us why the shooter was a victim. All that stuff is just, it's evidence that we've got some real problems here in this country at this time. And it's not just a mental health thing. This is a spiritual problem. This is an absence of God problem. And it's time to start having a frank conversation about it, because that's the connective tissue with all this.
Well, that is the next thing. And where do we go from here is kind of the question, because you have people,
Right.
you know, saying, hey, you know, they're ready for a civil war. And it seems like we're either going to start healing or we're going to end in that direction. And people I don't think they realize what they're saying. I mean, they say it so loosely, like, oh, let's have a civil war. It's like, I don't think they realize what that really insinuates.
No, there's not any civil war. I mean, there's not enough people who are even engaged with the process to have a civil war at this point. There'll be continued violence, that's for sure. We know this because of the reactions that we saw immediately after. You saw prominent people on MSNBC and on CNN, and governors of states like J.B. Pritzker, and every single piece of content, it seems like, on the Blue Sky platform is all basically cheering on these shooters or suggesting that there may have been some justification for it, or trying to minimize what was going on. And all of that, or say maybe Charlie had it coming. Even the New York Times, their headline was calling Charlie a provocateur. It's very specific. They use that word. They use that word because they're suggesting he provokes. It's a way of softening the impact of this assassination. And so long as that's the rhetoric for part of the country, then we're going to continue to see violence. But we're not going to have a civil war. But what we could have is we could have some clarity about where things stand now. And where things stand is the left has always harbored violence. They've always had a violent streak wherever the left has been in power in world history. And it's time for us to start recognizing that, and to be able to fearlessly call it out, and to make sure that law enforcement is using their full capabilities to uphold our law and to hold those accountable, to make examples of those who commit crimes.
And I do think, too, Alex, you have to have somebody from the left with some clarity, or somebody in the Democrat Party saying, hey, listen, guys, Trump's not a Nazi. Trump is not Hitler. You have been fooled. You've been duped into believing that, like, because the media has had these people justifying their actions because they're, in their mind, they're actually defending themselves against a Nazi force. And it's like, it's the same thing with the transgender and the race. They make, these people are racist. They've been embedded in their head through the college system, through the media, through the Democrats, and they truly believe that they're on the side of the righteous because they're taking down what could be the next Hitler. And that's, somebody got to stop that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the whole point why I'm talking about clarity, is that they want us dead. They do. They just do. And that's one of these things that is hard to wrap your mind around, but it's accurate. And we've been saying this at Breitbart for years. It is just, we never had one of our field generals gunned down on the battlefield, which is what this was, is a battlefield of ideas. But he was literally debating college students who get a 99-1 left-wing perspective in their day-to-day. he comes out and speaks to them for an hour or two, and he gets killed. He gets murdered in the process. We've never had something like that happen, but they tried to with Butler and President Trump, and they tried to again in Trump's golf course. They tried to assassinate Trump. They tried to assassinate Steve Scalise and nearly pulled that off. So it's one of these things where they have always normalized violence against the right. And this was the language during the first Trump administration, was that left-wing violence was considered free expression. Think about all those riots, the Kenosha riots, stuff like that. And right-wing speech was considered violence, where they're trying to unperson people like Breitbart, like people like you and me, Alec, who are out there online, act like if we were voicing hard truths that people didn't want to hear, then we were actually committing acts of violence. That mental reset that they've been doing is all designed to soften the belly so that people were not surprised and feel like maybe someone like a Charlie Kirk had it coming when they get shot.
And it's also going to scare the next, supposedly, not somebody on the level of Charlie Kirk, but people that could be, might say, hey, why would I want to do this now? Look what happened to Charlie Kirk. So it might deter the next guy from saying, hey, why am I going to do that?
Well, I mean, let's speak frankly about this. I mean, on campuses are not safe for conservatives. They're just not. And if you're a conservative and you're on campus and you don't have a 100% guarantee of security, then you're taking your life in your own hands. And that's a reality here. And it's hard to hear, especially it's hard to say as someone who's a friend of Charlie, as someone who knows Charlie's a human being. Charlie's more cautious about security than most people I know, but he was willing to repeatedly put himself in a position where he was trusting his life to law enforcement that was clearly not up to the challenge in the end. And that's something that must be considered now. And that's so horrible to say in this country, Alec. We're supposed to have free speech, and free speech means that you respect others' free speech. It shouldn't have to be a law enforcement issue. It shouldn't be necessary for Charlie to have full-time security as he had. But this has been going on. And I'll tell you, I went to an event with him at UC Davis. It was maybe a year or two ago. And it wasn't nearly as big of an event. It was enclosed in a basketball arena. And they smashed the windows to the arena. These are big, thick panes of glass. And Antifa, or whatever the rioters were, came up, started smashing. True violence. That's violence. That's vandalism. And they were doing that to try to disrupt his speech so that he can't talk. Because in corners of this country, free speech is a threat. It's not only not a value, it's a threat to them.
It is. And it's just, I think, too, they took advantage of the fact that this was kind of like a soft target, really, this Utah place. They according to the reports, there was only 6 police officers that were there, plus Charlie's security team. And once he was shot, his whole security team went to him, and there's nobody looking for the shooter. So they keep people saying, like, oh, this is a professional hit, like this had to take some special forces. It's a basic shot for somebody to make, and with not enough security around, nobody was able to catch this guy.
So we got to be real. We can't put ourselves in those positions anymore. We can't. So it's very early to have that discussion, and it's not. We got to grieve, we got to mourn, and we got to make sure that Charlie's legacy is preserved. But Charlie stood for all that's good in this country, from free speech to our constitutional rights to biblical values. He was a truly committed Christian. He was a good person. He was a family man. He had a wife and children. This was a person who didn't drink, didn't smoke. He spent his evenings reading and catching up on the American canon in order so that he could be better prepared for these debates and to be more authoritative when he spoke to his vast audience. He got his jollies out of career success. It was a beautiful life. He packed in more in 31 years than most people would do in 5 lifetimes. But I will say we do have to learn, though. We need to think about this, that they're at war with us, and we need to protect ourselves, and we need to be prepared for battles ahead.
Yeah, and that is, really that's the last thing really to touch on here is how do we move forward here, Alex? Like as a community, as a movement, as a conservative people, like how do we go forward from here? It just seems like everyone kind of doesn't know what to do. Everyone's kind of waiting to see what the reactions are going to be from everybody else. Like how do you see us moving? President Trump today says Charlie Kirk's going to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. How do we go forward?
So much to do. There's not a lot of wrong answers here other than stuff that breaks the law and I think escalates political violence. I say this with a vested interest. I've got young children. I'm hoping I'm not next here. I don't have Charlie's footprint, but it's, there's a lot of families like mine having that conversation over the last 24 hours is who are they going to focus on next? That's real, and we need to be prepared for that. But here's what we lean into. We lean into law and order. We lean into the left wants chaos. They want destruction. They want to protect the criminals over the bad guys. I mean, over the citizens. They want to protect the illegal aliens over the citizens. We got to get away from that, and we got to be very vocal. We got to be loud about that. People should lean into their faith. Turn to God in moments like this. It's your only comfort, and it's your best route to a deep and meaningful life anyway. And then we need to make sure that Charlie gets all the pomp and circumstance, medals of freedom, the funerals that are just beyond belief, vigils. Let's memorialize it all online. Let's celebrate him, and let's find our favorite quotes or clips of Charlie. Let's share it. Let's make sure that people understand that his legacy is going to grow because of this event. Unfortunately, he's a martyr, but we need to make that a positive. We need to make it into something that is where his legacy outgrows what it would have been had he lived a mortal life to a natural death. And it's possible. Andrew Breitbart was my boss and mentor, and his legacy grew exponentially after he passed. And I wish he was here. I know his kids wish he was here. I can't imagine what he would have been able to do with the news cycles over the last decade with President Trump, et cetera. We miss him deeply, but his message was externalized enough to the point where a lot of us got it. And there's a lot of people who carry his flame every day. And that's a wonderful thing. We got to be like that for Charlie.
Yeah, really great comparison and really well said. And I pray, and I know it will. I know Charlie Kirk's name. I mean, this movement is going on. What he has done is going to be. We're going to say. I was just saying to Congressman Gill before you. He was saying a lot of his staff members. They all came through that Turning Point USA pipeline. I mean, we're going to be seeing the effects of that in politics for decades to come. Of people that got into the game because of Charlie Kirk.
Elevate all those people. We got to elevate them all. If they give that person, if someone's applying for a job, they got a Turning Point line on their resume, elevate them. Let's make those stories. Let's make it so that, think about Charlie and how he never met Andrew Breitbart, but he got his start writing for me at Breitbart News. And that's really sort of a small data point in the scheme of his successes. But it's a great story for me to tell. And I know he was proud of it. And I know I'm proud of it. And it warms people's hearts to hear it. And let's make more of those stories. So if there's someone who had a connection to Turning Point or connection to Charlie in your life, let's elevate those people. Let's create success stories so that in 10, 15 years from now, we're talking about him in those exact types of tones.
Yeah. Really great. Really well said, Alex. I wanted to talk to you. I know you have your book out, Breaking the Law. I know you got the Alex Marlow. So many things I wanted to get into here, but how are you going to be handling this on your show? You got people coming on. How are you breaking this down on the Alex Marlow show?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And Breaking the Law is very relevant. I have not mentioned it, which is actually a challenge because I just don't want people to think I'm in salesman mode right now. But it is this is about is that how the left does not consider law and order a value, that they do not apply laws on the books to themselves, to each other, to their potential constituents, and they invent new laws to take out Trump and his supporters. That's how they operate. So this is very much an extension of that lawfare, what we're witnessing, and what I've been studying. Yesterday was a crazy day on radio because I was filling in for Hugh Hewitt on his nationally syndicated radio show. And I got the news 20 minutes before I went on the air that he'd been shot. And I had assumed he was dead, but then we were getting some potential good news that maybe he wasn't. And then it became clear that he was dead. I'm trying to talk to as many people who knew him and had some deep, profound thoughts to share. And I'll highlight a lot of those at Breitbart.com throughout the day. But I think today in the Marlow show, I think I'm just going to roll. I'm just going to speak about Charlie. I think I'm going to speak about the event, what it means, where it should go from here. And I'll probably mostly be a really just long monologue of me sharing everything that I'm thinking and feeling right now.
Yeah, I know it's a difficult day for so many, yourself included. Hard to do this stuff today. Obviously, like you say, we'll grieve, we'll mourn, and then we'll pick up the torch and move forward. And a difficult day. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this stuff. God bless you, Alex, and thank you. I'd love to have you back on again down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alec.
All right, honored to have Alex Marlow back on the podcast here today. Grateful that he joined in. Grateful you guys are in here listening today. I know that you're going to want to hear from everybody's kind of take, everybody's kind of angle on this stuff that's going down today. As more news comes in, as more stuff happens, everyone's kind of waiting to see what's going on with the shooter. Charlie Kirk died doing what he loved doing, right? Debating liberals. I mean, that's what he did. And that's what, you listen to the congressman and, this was, he welcomed everybody. Welcome all comers. Come one, come all. And that was Charlie Kirk's mindset to this. He was a phenomenal debater. people couldn't beat him straight up. I mean, they had a hard time. He was very good, and he wasn't a raving lunatic when he was in a heated debate. He remained calm. I mean, much better than I do. I mean, it's inspiring to see how he was able to handle these lunatics on the left that go, from 0 to 60. I do it at my job sometimes, especially during COVID. I mean, I wanted to bang my head against the wall 100 times. Charlie Kirk didn't have that type of reaction. He was able to calmly dismantle all of these leftists. He did it so beautifully, and they hated him for it. They absolutely hated him for it. They couldn't beat him in the debate, so they mocked him, and then they eliminated him. And it's I really don't know what more to say. And the way that they asked him the question. It seemed very, until I saw the side video of the kid that asked the question to Charlie. I mean, he looked absolutely traumatized when it happened. So whether, people are saying maybe that was part of the setup because they asked him about trans violence. And then did he get shot by a transgender activist? I mean, I don't know. We don't know the answers to that yet. But coincidences are God's way of staying anonymous, I think. Some of these coincidences are a little much. And, the person happens to ask about how many transgender shootings, mass shootings. He asked right before that, how many mass shootings have there been in the last 10 years? And Charlie Kirk's last words was, does that include gang shootings? And then, and then he gets shot and killed. So did they want that clip of him talking about gun violence when he was assassinated? Was that the cue to assassinate him? I don't know. But I know from seeing the side view of that kid that did ask the question, that kid looked absolutely terrified. I mean, he did not look like he was expecting the shot to come. That's for sure. But could that have all been just, he's never seen that type of stuff anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. And don't want to dive into the conspiracies of a lot of people saying, did Israel kill him? Because Charlie Kirk was starting to turn his stance a little bit on Israel. Was it another foreign agent that did this? I don't know the answers to that, and we will find out very soon. The only thing that really matters about all this is Charlie Kirk's family, his wife, his children, that are now going to live the rest of their lives without him. I mean, when I had him on the podcast and told him I had 4 kids, he said, we only have 2. We want to catch up to you. Like, it sounded as, I would imagine he planned on having more children and everything. I mean, what a bright future ahead of him. And it's very sad. And just like I was saying to Congressman Gill, we just seen this vicious video of this Irania Zarutska that was just for no reason whatsoever was just had her throat slashed on the light rail, but just so barbaric by a guy that should have been put to sleep years ago. It's just so sad what we're seeing. Then you have the Democrats defending it, trying to tone it down and acting like it was, the right is using this. What are you talking about? This is an animal in and out of prison 14 years. His own mother saying this guy shouldn't be out on the street. And yet here he is out there on the light rail walking around, and he just snaps and slaughters this young girl. I mean, man, it's sickening. And they still have the balls to defend it on the left. It's just it's crazy to see. And Van Jones is the one that did it. Van Jones is the one that blamed Charlie Kirk. Like, Charlie Kirk, Van Jones should be so ashamed of himself. And Charlie Kirk, he blames Charlie Kirk making it about race. He's like, it's like Charlie Kirk is the race hustler. Van Jones can't talk about a topic without bringing up race, and he accuses Charlie Kirk of being a race hustler, right? Like, Charlie Kirk is making it about race and making it political. And then the video comes out, the guy saying in the train car, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. And it's like, okay, so it not a targeted hate crime, you moron? But you also hear these other people online yesterday about the Charlie Kirk. Yeah, the one person on MSNBC has so stupid says, maybe it was a conservative that was celebrating and their gun went off. I mean, that's how dumb these people are on the left. And it is their rhetoric. It is their rhetoric that leads to this. They've got people so fired up thinking that the right are all Nazis and they're all racists. And these people eat it up with a spoon, man. And if it's going to heal, there's got to be prominent members of the left to say, what are you doing? This is not Hitler. These are not Nazis. You need somebody from the left to come up and speak some truth and say, guys, stop with this bullshit. This is the furthest thing from a Nazi in the world. It has not even come close to comparison. It's black and white. It's completely different. We need somebody from the left to come up and straighten that out and stop poisoning the minds of their followers, telling them, oh, the right, oh, they're all Nazis. They're all racists. That's the only way to get some kind of clarity out of this. And, and I just, before I end the show here, I want to talk about 9/11, the anniversary of it, and what it really means. I mean, and again, I don't want to get into, we still don't have all the answers from 9/11. We still do not have all the answers from 9/11. Was there more of who's behind it? I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories of it. There's so many questions that I still have about it. I've been reading about this and consuming 9/11 material for years. As I said, I was 20 years old when that happened. I was working down in Hoboken, down by the rail yard there, and at the time, when this happened, and I just remember for me, like remembering day after day walking through the parking lot that was across the street from my job to go to there was a diner right there, and you get cut through the parking lot, and it was just all the same cars that stayed there for days, and were never picked up. Like, it was just, that's some of the thing. And I remember all the pictures in Hoboken they had of all the people that were missing, everyone trying to find their loved ones. And I think, this is the first year. Now, usually I do the swim every year. The last 2 years, I swam it myself. I swam across the Hudson River with the SEALs. They do that in honor of the 9/11 victims, and they also do it in honor of the Extortion 17 and so many of the SEALs that were killed in the wars that followed 9/11. As I said, many of them joined up, right after 9/11. So this year I did not complete the swim. I was there to interview the SEALs prior to the swim. But one of the things that I really love is going to the memorial there, the reflecting pool that they have down at the footprint of the Twin Towers, and getting a chance to kind of just, it's great to actually get there and be quiet, listen, look at the names, and get a chance to remember some of the heroes that we had on that day. And so certain people I seek out to look. They have all the names on the reflecting pool as you walk around. And some of the names that I look for is like the Betty Ong, the one who called from Flight 11, was the first one to give the information to the people, to the tower, and let them know what was going on. And she sounded so calm, and she was able to give all the information. And it's like when you look into her and who she was when she was a young kid, young girl, her family store was robbed, she was held up at gunpoint, and she remained calm then. Her parents talked about it, in reflection about how she remained calm during that entire exchange with a gun to her head, and you could hear it in her voice, the way she remained calm with an actual hijacking going on with terrorists in the cockpit with the pilots. Her bravery that day was amazing, and so I always go check out her name. And one of the other ones, too, is Oreo Palmer is one that I always want to go and look at and reflect on. He made it to the 78th floor of the tower. I know many of you guys, this is probably redundant for a lot of you guys, but maybe some of you that aren't as familiar. He made it up to the 78th floor, was actively working to put the fire out, to save people's lives when the buildings collapsed. You hear him on the radio, his transmission, and at that same time, you have another firefighter on the floor below say, hey, we're coming up right behind you. We're on 77. We're coming right up to you. You have another guy that's in the elevator saying, hey, we're chopping our way through the floor. Like, all this is happening seconds before the towers collapsed. But Oreo Palmer, trying to save lives right up into the very last minute of his life. Father, husband, just a hero. And, they never found his body. So many of the other ones, too. You also had one of the, Father Judd is one that I go and I'll look at. So some of the names I will seek out for whatever reason, just kind of, go and look and remember. And just, one thing I will say about 9/11, and I got to admit, I consume so much of it. Every year, I always re-listen to the 1010 Wins broadcast as it happened on 9/11. I re-listen to the Imus in the Morning program from that day. And I also re-listen to the FDNY police fire scanner, the FDNY scanner from that day that has, the whole day as it unfolded. And just listening to so many of the things as they happened in real time. And you also get to the point where you listen to all the phone calls that were made, whether it be from in the buildings or whether it be from some on the plane, people that knew they were going to die. And you hear these phone calls. And I'm going to tell you this much, right? I've yet to hear a phone call or a message that was left where one of the people from in the building or on the plane talked about or called their boss and talked about their job. And you had a lot of heavy hitters in the towers. I mean, you had a lot of financial wizards, a lot of people making big money, working in a big business. I know Cantor Fitzgerald lost a ton of people, but you had a lot of Sharpies that were working in those towers. And I've never heard one message of somebody that called their boss and said, "Hey, boss, I'm working on this deal. Invest in this. I'm working on this project. I didn't get it finished, but I saved the file." I didn't hear any of those phone calls. Every phone call I've heard ever, and if you got a different one, let me know in the comments. But every call that I've seen or heard is everyone calling their wife or their mother or their family member and telling them how much they love them. In that moment, and this is where I say, like I put the chart up last week where if you look at people who voted for Harris, what's their number one goal in life? What's their definition of success? It's career. And having children was last. And when you look at everyone who was hanging out the windows of the Twin Towers, there wasn't one of them that was thinking about their career. In those moments, they were thinking about their family. They were thinking about their children. That's the only thing that mattered. And if they were faithful, they were thinking about God. And they were thinking about their soul. Because death was imminent for those people that were trapped up above the floors that were hit. And if you listen to the phone calls, tell my children I love them. And it's the most important thing. There was no phone call about, hey, tell my boss I won't be in tomorrow. Because you're gonna be replaced at your job. Maybe not the next day, but within a week, you'll be replaced. We do it on the railroad all the time. When there's a guy that dies, job is on the board the following week. You are replaceable as an employee. You are not replaceable as a father. You're not replaceable as a mother. And that's why, I think we have our priorities skewed. And I think sometimes we need to take a little toll or take a little reflection on what's important in our lives. And just like I say, Charlie Kirk, no one's going to replace him for his children. Turning Point USA will move on. They'll find somebody, and it seems like impossible to do. Eventually, they're going to find somebody, and they're going to move on with that movement. That movement will go on. His children will never have their dad back. And that's what it was to me when I think about 9/11 and the horrors of that, of those people knowing that they were going to die, coming to work on a normal day, worried about the things we all worried about. Or we worry about the bills, or we worry about the car, or we worry about the house, or we worry about the job. And in one instant, none of that mattered at all. And I think we need to remember that. We need to remember the heroes that we had on 9/11. People that went down fighting, that went down trying to do good, people that were helping one another. And the following day we had September 12th where the freaking country was united with one another. We prayed for one another. We supported this country together. You couldn't find an American flag anywhere. They were sold out everywhere. And forget about finding one made in America. I mean, they were almost impossible to find. So, looking back on that tragedy and where we are today, I mean, it is just sad. It's the whole thing. We're in a dark place right now, and we need to turn to faith. We have to turn to faith in these moments and pray and believe we're going to get to a better place. I mean, and not only just the people that we lost on 9/11, but the people we lost in the wars that ensued, that got us back to square one with the Taliban in charge. I mean, so many things are where you would think, like, man, how much worse could it get? And that's why I say we need to turn to one another. We need to turn to prayer, and we need to hopefully turn this around. So I don't know. I may be droning here. I don't know. It's very hard to put the thoughts together today. I mean, it's a lot of emotion. Just the Aranya Zarutska, 23 years old, gets her throat slashed. We're all watching it. Charlie Kirk gets his whole throat blown apart, blood gushing out of him. Where today, 24 years ago, 3,000 people, so many jumped to their deaths. I mean, it's. Man, you have to step away for a while, and I'm telling you, lean into your family, lean into your faith, and it is the most important thing, and I can't stress that enough. And I think Charlie Kirk got that message across. So where you looked at that, especially to the young men, you look at that poll, and for Gen Z, their number one goal and definition of success is having children. And I think you could give a lot of the credit to that answer to Charlie Kirk. Because he always encouraged young men to get married and have children. And I think it's the right message, and one that I know I carry on, and I know that many people will continue to carry on. But we will continue to pray for Charlie Kirk's soul. We'll continue to pray for his family. We'll continue to pray for our country. And we'll come back again next week. And, we'll get right back at it. We will move on. As Congressman Gill said there, that's exactly what Charlie want you to do. Keep fighting, keep moving forward, and that's what we got to do. Pick up the torch, and let's move forward, and let's get this country on the right track. Let's have faith, and let's come together. That's what you pray for today. We pray for all the souls that we lost on 9/11. We pray that we never see anything like that ever again. And hopefully we can have some healing. Hopefully they find this guy that did this. We get some answers on that front, which I'm sure will be a whole nother story. But for now, that's what I got for you guys. So God bless you, you listeners, you parents out there. God bless our police and our first responders. God bless our military, our veterans. God bless America, and I'll catch you guys next week. Have a good weekend.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.